Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video, I'm going to go through my updated Supreme League teams for free-to-play, mid, and pay-to-win level. We're going to lead it off with the free-to-play teams. So even in the free-to-play teams, I will be using some Celestial Hypogeans, which are Dream Realm focused heroes, in case you have them. Otherwise, we're going to talk about replacements. So the first team, I'm going to say Gunner in the free-to-play team, Gunner in front of Gwyneth, if you have Gunner built. If you don't have Gunner built, there is an easy swap that I would probably recommend is I would say get rid of the Gunner, put Hugin in front of Gwyneth, and then add in an Eevee here who is a good buffer and healer for your team. So this can be the more free-to-play version in case you don't have Gunner. However, if you have Gunner, even Supreme Plus, perfectly usable for PvP, and you should probably use him, and you can run this comp. It is just Gunner boosting Gwyneth. You also have other light bearer heroes you have upgraded like Hugin Siren. We have Callan for protection, Vanguard spell. So that is going to be the team 1. Team 2 for free to play is going to be Perseus, basically temporary buffing team with the Wilders. So Lily May is going to benefit greatly from all the temporary buffs on this team, from Xandrock, like the artifact, are all going to give her 3 temporary buffs. And Pheromore is going to give the 4th temporary buff to our Perseus over here. So he's going to be capped out. This is for players who have not invested into Orion, but if you're kind of like a longer term player, you would probably have Perseus Paragon upgraded for PvP. So this is going to be the Perseus basically team comp in case you don't have Orion built. Orion teams will show in the mid set. Now moving on to team 3, this is going to be a Baelran Twins comp with Contest. Now again, if you are that PvE player, you probably do have Contest, Bell, Twins, and also Roland. And running all 3 of these in the same team is a very effective strategy. Basically, it is like a Contest stall team, and you can use either Saida if you have Saida built. That can be even better. However, Baelran also is going to function very well into this team, and especially if you are a more PvE Dream Realm focused player for a while, you may have Baelran built, in which case you should run it something like this. So we have Rowan boosting the melee damage and health of Baelran, and also giving the healing potion for Baelran to ascend quickly. We have Roland, who's going to synergize really well with all the Celestials we have on the team. If you want to make room for Alicent in this team, you can also not run Rowan, and you can run Alicent instead to guard the Contest. However, I think a lot of people would have maybe even Paragon upgraded Rowan, and he's a great ally to run along with Baelran. But if you did want to run the Saida version, right, you can then just go for the standard Saida, and you can go for Alicent on the Contest. And this can be a good, effective option. But yeah, there's a lot of basically options here. It kind of comes down to what you want to try. All of these should work out pretty well. And Wingard spell for that protection. Moving on to Team 4, it is going to be the Freerin Wilder comp. You guys have seen this many times. However, this time I'm actually running Freerin to get boosted up by the Theodore. And the reason for that is, on this map, if I want to have the Valor Shield spell effect onto Freerin, which I do want to have, then I'm going to have to position it like this. And you know, Theodore boosting Freerin is very beneficial into enemy teams that don't have Lily May. Kind of the only time where you would prefer to have these being boosted is if the enemy has Lily May. But, you know, Lily May can only be on one team, and even if the enemy has Lily May, I mean, Freerin's going to cycle and get off another ultimate as well. And you still have the good protection. So I think this is going to be a great team comp. Definitely should work out well for you. And Himmel can work at Supreme Plus. Totally fine to run him at Supreme Plus. And I still recommend it. If you absolutely cannot run Himmel, you can run Iron. You can run Iron here. Just to take an enemy Lily May interruption, that would be basically it. However, Himmel should be better for most players. Okay, finally moving on to Team 5. This is going to be your Bonnie damage over time team. And this is actually decently effective. I did some testing even in duel battle. And it really does deal with some of those free-to-play to mid-level of comps. So Trana's going to spread her sparks onto everyone. You have Damon up front. You know, he's going to be spreading the debuffs of Bonnie and Citrana. And you're just really massively debuffing enemies with Citrana, Bonnie, and Shadewing. Massive debuffs. And then you have Igor just to jump around, deal some damage, block the HP recovery, survive just for long enough so that he can just wipe out the enemy team. And honestly, from my testing, and if you have these heroes Paragon upgraded, which you probably do again if you're like a long-term player, because this used to be the old school meta, then this can work out really well for you. And I definitely think Magic Surge Spell is a way to go. This is the best strolling artifact in my opinion. It also gives defensive stats, but more importantly, it deals high amount of damage and also useful debuffs onto enemy like vitality debuffs. So that is what we have for the free-to-play set. I am overall happy with it. It should work out well for you. Let's go ahead and move on to the mid-level of teams, which are going to be using Orion, if you have Orion built. So here we have the Orion team, and I really am a fan of this team. It really also counters like Sulfura, and a lot of enemy people, the players do run Sulfura on map 1, and that's why we perfectly position this team in a way to counter that comp. As long as the enemy can't interrupt your Corden, you just get massive bursting here, because you have the Corden attack buff, you have Perseus attack buff, you have Phantom attack buff onto Orion, you have the Charm bonus onto Orion. Orion is going to be hitting like an absolute beast. Along with all this, you have the frontline spell, where you're going to proc that with all of your melee units. You have your Corden, Perseus, and Orion. And so that is basically the whole idea behind the team comp, and it's very effective. Yeah, it has insane burst potential. It can even run down enemy Saida teams, even the most pay-to-win Saida contest teams that people have, because your burst is just too unmatched. But you don't have to run Corden if you don't want to. You can run Zandrock. That is perfectly fine, and it should be a really good option because he also gives temporary buffs and is perfectly suiting the team. Corden is just a bit more oomph, a bit more power, but like it does get ultimate blocked, right? It can be countered by that. But anyway, moving on to team 2. This team 2 is just too good for like a budget option. If you have Athalia built, you have to be running a Pandora, Zoria, Athalia comp. It's just way too strong. And I've positioned it again on a map. We're positioning in a way to counter the positioning of many enemies. Like, this is a map which people love to run Gunner Gwyneth on, because it's a long map. It has these barricades. All other things equal, this is a map which favors Gunner Gwyneth. However, this is a team comp which is actually one of the biggest counters to Gunner Gwyneth, because you just stall out for too long that you just work down the entire enemy team. And Shadewing coming in with more damage output potential, and then Athalia bursting along with the artifact massive damage output. Basically, you are going to beat most Gunner Gwyneth teams you run into, and really, this is one team that I have problems with, because I always need to plan all of my teams to be able to counter even a team like this. But this team is strong. If you don't have enough protection in your team, this is just gonna wipe them out. So yeah, very good team, awesome team, and you should run it if you have Athalia built, no question about it. Moving on to Team 3, this is going to be Gunner Gwyneth's comp with Kulu. Now, of course, if you are not that much of a pay-to-win player, you can run Alicet rather than Kulu to protect the Gwyneth. We'll talk about Alicet replacements when we come to Team 5. But basically, all you really want for this team is you want Gunner Gwyneth combo, you want Lightbearer Phantom buffing Gwyneth, you want Siren to block the artifact, you want Eevee for the healing and the buffs, and then Vanguard Spell is a good option for this team, because then you can free up Wingard for another team which can make better use of it. You don't have to run Kulu here. Literally, you could run any other sort of supportive type hero, like honestly, even if you wanted to run Hugin, you could even run something like this. Just make sure that Gunner's frontmost so he can be the vanguard appointed on your team. But like, you could definitely go for something like that. If you have Lily May free, you can definitely run Lily May into this team. She always can bring something to the table. So you have definitely plenty of options. As you guys can see, you don't have to run Kulu, but Kulu is a great option if you have her built. Otherwise, you can run Alicet here as well, like we talked about. Moving on to Team 4, again, this is the free win Ravion comp. You guys saw it again for the free-to-play team. Same for the mid-level of team. Definitely make use of it with Himmel. We have the Valor Shield spell, and we're going to get a fast free win ultimate off with Theodore boosting her. And now finally is going to be the Saida contest all team. Now again, the thing is, you don't have to run Saida in this comp. You can perfectly run Baleran if you don't have Saida. It is still going to be a great option for you. And in fact, if you really even wanted to run like, not run Alicet in this team, because some people, they're not going to have Alicet free. So you could definitely run Hepler to give another life to the contest. That's a great option. You can run Gerda as well for the healing and like, for example, positioning something like this. The healing and unaffected, that can be a really good option. So that's going to be it for the mid teams. Before we move on to the pay-to-win teams, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight Store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video in a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thank you all so much for your support. So moving on to the final pay-to-win teams of what I'm currently running. I do have some other ideas as well, but this is kind of like my balanced set of 5 teams. I do have some experimentation I want to do with like power teams, like 3 power teams, and then some leftover teams. But when we're talking about a balanced set of 5 teams, I think this is pretty much as good as I can get for right now. Before the Digimon come out, that could change something, I'm not sure. So here we have Orion, buffed up by Faye, getting the charm bonus, getting the vitality bonus from the exclusive skill of Faye. And getting an immediate temporary buff. We have the artifact further protecting up Orion. We have Eevee for the healing and the buffing of Orion. We have Frieren defensive magic onto Orion, and then we have the Phantom buffing up Frieren. We have the Roland in the back right. He's going to get the Valor Shield spell for more protection, more tankiness. That is the whole idea behind this team comp. It is going to be any Sulfura team you come across. It is going to be pretty much any Orion team you come across if they don't have Roland in the team, and it is going to be even Saida contest teams that you may come across because the damage burst is too high when you're running a team like this. Now, this team has the only major weakness I've noticed with this team is into enemy Gunner Gwyneth that also have Dunlinger. Like, basically, when enemies go for that full-out Dunlinger Gunner Gwyneth comp, then this team can struggle a bit. It has the survival issues. However, the thing is, the favorable matchups that it has is better. And the problem is, if you guys remember, in the past I used to run Mauler Orion. The thing is, Mauler heroes are really important for the Sulfura comp as well. And the Lightbearer comp is going to do well with Orion. So, because of all of that reason, and Roland of course, because of all of that reason, I just feel like it's a better allocation to have the Maulers with the Sulfura and the Lightbearers with Orion. However, Maulers with Orion does also work, but it then also has its own issues, right? It sometimes lacks the burst potential, it can be outstalled. This team is never going to lack the burst potential, you're going to be hitting really hard. It's just going to be about, can you actually survive enemy Gunner Gwyneths, which it cannot survive all of them, but it can survive some of them depending on how overinvested the comp is. Team 2 is basically one of the standard old school teams of Sulfura. Not running Athalia anymore. In fact, I've completely benched Athalia, and I'm planning probably potentially to exclusive equipment reset her. I know she's good in the Zoria comp, but my Zoria is not built high enough, and also, even though she's good in the Zoria comp, I think at the highest level, you can easily craft a set of 5 teams which will all be able to counter the Zoria Athalia. It's very, it's like, it's a team that it can win if you're unprepared. If you're prepared, the Zoria Athalia doesn't really win. Anyway, what I'm saying for this team comp is I find that having the utility of Xandrock seems to be better in the team compared to like running an Athalia. Athalia doesn't really bring much to the table. Whereas Xandrock at least is going to allow you to group up quicker, get on top of the enemy, which can be the game-winning thing for you actually. What I really struggle with these Sulfuras is I've noticed that enemy Roland teams, they do really well into Sulfura, even if they're not running Orion. Just Roland and Twins, Saida type teams, things like that, because you're not really able to kill the Roland quick enough before he actually bursts, or before he ultimates, and then his ultimate is going to make them too tanky that then you cannot kill them from that point on. So this is trying to like really get in there quickly and basically blow them up before they have a chance. That is the idea behind this team comp. And actually one other interesting idea is running Corridon in this comp. Corridon actually is also working very well into a comp like this because his burst damage potential from his ultimate also helps the Sulfura basically assist her in additional damage. However, the position on this map is too awkward for Corridon in my opinion. That's why I would not be running Corridon here. But yeah, these are just basically some thoughts, some considerations. One other consideration is you to actually run Siren in this team. I'm already running Siren, so that's why I would not even do it. But Siren can also block the artifact. So if they have the Valor Shield artifact, it'll just block it and allow you to still group them. That's one strategy. But anyway, I think this is a pretty good. This is what I'm going to go with. I'm happy with it. Moving on to Team 3. Now, Team 3, I'm doing something you might think is really weird. Because normally in these Saida contest teams in the past, I've always run Alicet. I'm using Asset on a different team, but I could have freed it up here if needed. Or I'm running like Celise. However, from my loss in the finals of the Supreme League last round, what I realized was the reason I lost was my contest my contest ultimated my Solis first and foremost before ultimating Saida. And then after that, because the enemy had a contest, my contest was silenced, and we were never able to get off the ultimate of contest onto Saida. Because Solis's burst is too much. Solis becomes the hardest hitting damage dealer on your team. And if you guys don't know how contest's ultimate works, he's going to prioritize the hero which has dealt the highest amount of damage. So the reason why Solis kind of can be a detriment to this team is it can cause Contest to ultimate your Solis rather than Saida. And all I want for this team is I want Contest's first ultimate to be on Saida. That's the whole point of running this team. And so my idea is when we run Rowan and Gerda, first of all, Rowan charms onto Saida is good. But then Gerda is well going to give unaffected so that even if the enemy has a Sulfura, you know, Saida is still going to be able to keep cycling her ultimates. And then with, hopefully, because this is like a team full of supports and tanks, Saida should be the hardest hitting damage dealer, like when Contest has a chance to ultimate, and it should go off onto Saida. That's my whole game plan. That's what I want to happen. If that happens, basically, it'll probably be a win into a lot of matchups. So that's what we're running here. We're running Breakthrough Spell because we're saving Wingard for a different team. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay, moving on to Team 4. Team 4 is our Cryonaya Dunlinger team. Now, this team is definitely decent. Is a good version of Cryonaya. However, Cryonaya in general has a lot of weaknesses. If the enemy has contests, unless you trap enemy contests in the frozen domain, Cryonaya is gonna kill your contest is gonna silence your Cryonaya and then just work you down from there. However, I mean, we do have other damage sources like the Ravion and Alicet that can maybe finish off the contest, and then they won't be able to stall me out. But basically, yeah, the Cryonaya team has a lot of problems. Enemy or Orion is too tanky that the Cryonaya cannot kill him. If the enemy has Sulfura on the team, which I don't think they're gonna run on this map. This is an awkward map for it, so that's why I kind of positioned it here. But if they do have that, it can give problems. Actually, though, this team lineup has a bit of a potential of dealing with that. So I'm not, so it's not the worst. But basically, Cryonaya has trouble getting consistent wins against a lot of meta top teams. It can beat some things, though. That's why I still think it's worth running. It does feel bad running the Dunlinger here. I would like to use it to empower one of my other teams, like either Gunnar Gwyneth or something like that. But the thing is, the trade-off is, I think it probably to make 5 solid teams again, like we were talking about, this is probably still worth it. So yeah, that's what we have for this team. And then finally, Team 5 is going to be our Gunnar Gwyneth team with Wingard Spell. I think Wingard Spell is very good for this team. It gives good protection, and that's basically all you need with Gunnar Gwyneth. Vanguard Spell is also good on a Gunnar Gwyneth team, don't get me wrong. However, in this map, you just can't use it effectively because you're not going to be able to get Gunnar frontmost. And so, if I'm running Gunnar Gwyneth on map 5, I'll never run Vanguard Spell, or pretty much generally not. Now, you might be thinking, what are you running Peggy here for? Peggy, well, number one, she's going to create her guards and they're going to block this gap. That's important to me. Number two, she is going to, if she's able to survive long enough, she can get off healing, she can get off her archer, which are going to, potentially amplify Gwyneth's damage. But most importantly is her ultimate for the damage reduction. Basically, she's functioning almost like a light bearer version of Kalin, if she can get off her ultimate. And this is also one of the ways you can counter enemy Zoriathelias. You need to have some form of that protection. And Peggy is one of those options, one of those ways of actually making it happen. Now, from my testing in Duel Battle, which isn't even a fair test because now everyone has Mythic Charms, is kind of like a 50-50 whether this team beats the strongest version of Zoriathelia or not. However, I think that in Supreme League with the red charms, I think that this team has a higher chance of actually consistently beating Zoriathelia because their nuking power shouldn't be as high as it is with their mythic charms. Anyway, Peggy ultimate is trying to counter enemy Zoriathelia. I had to slot in one hero to be able to do that, and unfortunately there's not really any guaranteed win from a light bearer hero to defend against enemy Zoriathelia. The Wingard Swell does help though for that initial damage reduction, definitely as well into Zoriathelia. So anyway guys, that is going to be my set of free-to-play mid and pay-to-win teams. Hopefully this is helpful. It gives you good ideas to work with for your Supreme League this time around. Good luck in Supreme League. I will update you guys if I have any new findings of new meta teams or what I change my teams too. Like I said, the only thing that I'm potentially gonna try this. Well, Digimon are gonna come out. So if there's anything interesting about them in PvP, I'll definitely be making an updated video about that. But regardless of Digimon, I'm just talking about in general that when we get into the later rounds, the top 16 and the top 4, the knockout stages, I will definitely be considering, and I definitely want to try this time around, to make power teams rather than making these 5 balance teams. Like making 3 power teams that can potentially, no matter what they run into, have a chance of winning, and then whatever my leftover squads are, don't worry about them too much. This is something I'm seriously considering this time around, because this was actually a strategy which was used against me in the finals by a player who is much lower power level than me. But because he got his good 3 matchups on those 3 power teams, he was able to win 3-2. And that's all you have to do at the end of the day, win 3-2. And so if you can pull 3 super powerful teams that the enemy will really struggle to beat with anything, then that is giving you almost 100% chance of victory, right? Regardless of what your other 2 leftover teams are. So I'm definitely going to lean more into that and experiment more with that in this upcoming Supreme League. I think that is really, honestly, when things are considered, that is one of the most stable strategies, because predicting where enemies are going to place their teams, that is always going to be an RNG chance, because when you get to the higher levels, people move around, and they move around sometimes even completely randomly, that you can't even predict where they're going to end up. And good players are able to position any team on any map, and I can do that as well. Like I can put Saphira team on any of the 5 maps. I can put a Gun and Gwyn team on any of the 5 maps. So like it's not even like certain maps they're not going to play us here. So that's the thing. So anyway guys, I hope this is helpful. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section down below. Good luck in Supreme League. If you have any other team ideas, you can feel free to share that in the comment section. That's always interesting. Thank you guys for watching, and if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight Store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video in a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.